everyone, and welcome back to Unfulfilled. I'm your host, Camille. Thank you for tuning in to today's solo episode. It is going to be a good one. I'm going to share with you the biggest lessons that I've learned in 2024. I've landed on 6, and this happened to be my favorite number growing up. So coincidence, not sure, but we're going to cover the 6 biggest and best lessons that I've learned this year. Before we get started, if you could quickly press follow or subscribe wherever you are listening, if you are not already, it'll not only give you access to episodes every single Monday when they come out, but also means so much to me and really help in my efforts to grow the Unfulfilled community. Thank you, as always, for showing up today. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for tuning into the show. I'm really excited about this one. I love episodes like this because I get to talk about my most favorite topics all in one episode. 2024 was a big year for me, to say the least. I'm sure for many of you as well, but this was my first year of really growing the podcast. And in that, it's been such a growth journey, such an impactful experience with lots of ups and downs. But in all of those ups and downs have come the best lessons, the most beautiful insights. And I want to share some of those with you today in the episode. It's crazy to think that just a year ago, over a year ago, I guess at this point, the podcast was just an idea. It was just something that I really wanted to do and something that seemed really daunting and scary to start. And it's really crazy to think that now I am where I am. I'm in such a flow with it. And I almost can't even remember what my life was like without doing this every day and releasing these episodes every week, just because it's become such a big part of my life. And I feel like I've become a new person and transformed person in this process. So just a message to anyone that if there's something that you really want to do in life, just to start now, to go for it, because so much can happen in one year and so much change and transformation can really take place in a couple months, in a year, in a couple years. So now I'm rambling. So through this journey, here are 6 of my favorite lessons that I've learned, the things that really came to mind that I really want to share with you today. And to preface, before diving in, these are lessons I'm constantly learning. It's not like I have learned these lessons and now I'm done. Now I'm perfect in these areas in life and I never have to learn them again. Actually, they're lessons I'm continuing to learn every single day, but in the best way. I think every time I have to learn these lessons again, they almost get more solidified. So the beautiful thing when it comes to learning lessons is you never stop learning them. And so these lessons and an episode like this, for example, are things you want to continue to come back to save and re-listen to really ingrain in your mind for when you have these experiences where they're going to really benefit you, to put these things into practice and have these reminders and practice these mindset shifts. So let's dive in. Number 1, there is no end destination or no ultimate sense of happiness and fulfillment that we will reach in life. So many of us keep telling ourselves that when we get to that place, when we achieve that goal, when we get that relationship, when we get that raise, whenever something happens, then we can be happy. Then we will feel that sense of fulfillment we've been waiting for. And that's just untrue. I feel like I've learned that time and time again. Sure, certain things may absolutely contribute to our happiness and fulfillment, but the goalpost keeps moving. Whenever we make it to that place that we think is going to bring us happiness, suddenly there's something off in the distance that we think we need more. So like we land that first thing, and then suddenly we already have our eyes set on another thing in the future. And then we tell ourselves, no, actually, I was wrong. It's the other thing that's going to give us happiness and fulfillment. And it's just a constant race, really. We keep running on this hamster wheel, but towards what? Time and time again, I find that the things that I think are going to leave me happy and fulfilled don't, or that happiness and fulfillment fade away quickly afterwards because that goalpost keeps moving, because our expectations level set to wherever we're at, and suddenly we need and crave more. So I've learned this lesson a lot with the podcast this year, telling myself that when I make it to a certain level, a certain following number of listeners or a certain number of episodes, whatever the metric is, then I will be happy and fulfilled and happy with where I'm at. But no, it's literally a constant pursuit, a constant striving for more. And you can relate to that or apply that in any area of your life. It's literally in our DNA to not want to fall behind. So we're wired to want more, to be on this pursuit for more, and to constantly be trying to improve in life. So the best way to escape this constant rat race is to both accept and enjoy where we're at, to recognize the fact that this is a journey and every single experience and phase along the way in this journey is intentional. It has a bigger reason, and it's all a necessary step along the journey. So rather than wanting to fast forward past this part, especially past the uncomfortable parts, maybe the early stages of something, we need to learn to embrace every step, to practice actually enjoying each part of it. And even if it's not enjoyable, accepting that this step is crucial to making it to the next step. If we don't enjoy the journey, then what's it all for? Because the whole point of this first lesson is there is no end goal or destination that we're going to reach that's going to make us happy. So if we're not accepting and enjoying the journey along the way, then what are we really striving for? We can practice cherishing where we're at right now, whatever phase we're in, because we can remind ourselves that it's temporary, and future us is going to look back at this moment, at this experience, and miss it, thinking of these times as the good old days, even if it's a struggle in the moment. Another thing that helps in reminding ourselves of this lesson that happiness and fulfillment isn't in a future destination is to celebrate the small wins along the way. So coming back to this idea that it's all a journey and every phase and experience is intentional. So whenever you do have a small win, how can you celebrate it? Feel proud of that. Take a pause, reflect at how far you've come from when you've started, and acknowledge those milestones. The more we can celebrate and recognize wins along the way, the more enjoyable it will be. There's so much to celebrate in what we're doing now, in our lives right now. We don't have to wait to the future destination. So if we keep telling ourselves this I'll be happy when narrative, and we don't let ourselves be happy along the way, we're never really going to reach that point. It makes it really hard to accept and appreciate where we're at if we have constant tunnel vision on what we think a beautiful future is going to look like. And also at the end of the day, we have no idea what the future is going to bring. It's never going to look exactly as we think it will. And so it's all about coming back to cherishing the journey, every single experience that is guiding us towards where we want to go. Let's celebrate the journey, accept and enjoy every single part of it rather than thinking that it's only in the future that's going to bring us happiness and fulfillment. Okay, I know that was a long one. Moving on to number 2. Life will always have ups and downs, no matter what. But this is a good thing. The perfectionist side of me for so long got really upset and emotional and reactive when I would have a bad day or a bad week and when things wouldn't go my way. Whenever I wasn't feeling like my happy, optimistic, positive self, I often would just tell myself that I'm falling behind. I'm moving backwards. Oh, I thought I was at this place where I was really happy and doing really great and on this great upward trajectory. And then suddenly I had a really bad day. And then I would think that it all evaporated. Like I was doing so well. What happened? Life is always like this. And if you're not watching a video, I'm doing an up and down motion with my hands. It's constant upwards and downwards. We are not meant to be happy all the time. As human beings, we are meant to experience ups and downs. And I've learned, especially this past year, that this is such a beautiful thing. Why? Because in those low moments are often when we learn the most important lessons. It's when we develop resiliency, when we learn coping mechanisms, when we resort back to those practices that remind us to slow down, to tune back inwards, to work on ourselves, to improve, to continue to grow. If we were happy every single day, we wouldn't experience all of these amazing things that make us better. And so instead of shying away from those low moments, I've learned to honestly embrace them, reminding myself that A, it's temporary, and B, I always come out the other side feeling more resilient, feeling like I've grown, and feeling that much more grateful for the positive feelings I feel after overcoming it. So that's number 2. Number 3, not everyone will like you, but that is okay. It's really hard to unlearn people-pleasing tendencies, right? If you're a fellow people pleaser, like I am, we feel like we've been trained to make others happy, to say yes to others. Especially when we're young, our worth is tied to external validation, whether it be getting a grade in school, getting praised by our parents, our teachers. We want people to like us. That's how we feel like we're on the right track. It's really uncomfortable to feel like we're disliked by someone. But the truth is, if we really want to be our authentic selves and let our true colors shine and be who we really are, it's gonna mean that we're gonna upset some people, that we're gonna evolve out of certain relationships and friendships. It's gonna mean that certain people might not approve of us or we might not fit someone's vibe, but that is okay. It means that we're choosing to be who we are rather than being who someone else wants us to be or being who someone else might approve of and accept. One quote that really has helped me with this recently that my friend Paula Sanders, who I've had on the podcast, said, saying yes to someone else means saying no to yourself. So as uncomfortable as it might feel when someone doesn't like you or someone might be a bit upset with you for saying no, every time we say yes, even though deep down we want to say no, we're saying no to ourselves. We're putting that person's needs and preferences before our own. And at the end of the day, that means we're foregoing filling our own cup first, which is what we need to do if we're going to really show up as our best selves and our authentic selves in our relationships. We're the only ones that know who we truly are at our core. And we're the only ones that know what we truly need at our core. So therefore, we are the only ones that have the true power and capacity and capability to say yes or no when we need to. And yeah, that means not everyone's going to be thrilled with you all the time. It means certain people might not like you. They might not vibe with what you're doing, the choices you make. If you're moving towards a different direction than them, they might not like that and maybe make you feel bad about that. Or maybe you're just growing at different speeds or different directions, and that's just a part of it. It doesn't mean you're on the wrong path if people don't like you. In fact, I think it can mean you're on the right path. I think that people who have a million friends and say yes to everything and are constantly molding and evolving into who others want them to be, I think they're constantly saying no to themselves and maybe not living as their authentic selves if you're constantly just living for others. And that's honestly exhausting. We all have this beautiful gift and unique character and purpose to offer the world. And we're doing ourselves in the world a disservice if we're not honoring that, just because it might upset some people. Another reminder that I love when it comes to this lesson is honestly, if someone doesn't like you, or if they're judging you, or if they're projecting some kind of insecurity onto you, it's never actually about you. It's always something that they're, again, projecting onto you. You might now be outside of their little bubble or their comfort zone. So they might project that fear, judgment, and insecurity onto you. But I truly believe it's never actually about you. So remember that whenever you feel uncomfortable, if someone's upset with you, if you're being someone that you value, if you're being your authentic self, and if you respect the person that you are and that you're becoming, that's all that matters, not how many people like you. And finally, one thing I heard recently, which I kind of love, if you have haters or doubters or people who judge you, I think it's a good thing. And many people think it's a good thing. Being different is actually a good thing. Why would we want to fit in and be just like everybody else? Again, we all have this uniqueness to offer to the world, and having the bravery and confidence to express that person is such a beautiful thing. And it takes a lot of strength and confidence. So if you're feeling this pushback from other people, if you're feeling some kind of judgment, or if some people start to drift away, it might actually mean you're on the right path. But most importantly here, if someone's projecting something onto you, if someone's judging you, if someone doesn't like you, it's never actually about you. And the right people will always love you and support you and like you. Okay, next one. I think we're on number 4. Number 4, only in practicing consistency and patience will we see the changes that we're hoping for. Consistency and patience. Those are the 2 key ingredients. It takes showing up every single day to continue to show up as the person we want to be. We have to make that choice every day. Again, like I said in the beginning, we can't learn these lessons and then all of a sudden be done, like check the box. No. We have to keep learning the lessons every day. They just get more and more ingrained within us. It's a constant practice, this thing that we call life. And we have to choose to incorporate the habits that make us our best versions of ourselves every day. It takes consistency. And then it takes patience to see the results after those consistent practices. There's nothing of real value that you can do just for one day or 1 week that will make a big impact on your life. The best things come with time and being consistent over time. You can't say affirmations for a day and then suddenly you feel like a transformed person. You can't go to the gym and work out once and then expect to have a six-pack or see the results you're looking for. You can't eat a salad and then suddenly feel like you're a superhero. So we have to continue to show up every single day and make the choice every day. Even when we don't feel like it, we can choose to show up for ourselves. And it's important to note here that showing up for ourselves is going to look different every day. Our best is not going to be at that 100% capacity every single day. Like today, for example, I actually am feeling a bit more low energy. So my best today is like a 70, 75%. But I've learned how to give myself grace and practice self-compassion and judge myself less and recognize and acknowledge the fact that as human beings, us showing up as our best selves every day isn't going to look the exact same. We are not the same version of ourselves every single day, but we can choose to show up as the best we can be every day. So whatever it is you're striving towards, whatever future goals you have, whatever life that you're aiming towards, consistency means showing up for yourself every single day, whatever that may look like. And it's not going to look the same every day. And after we make that choice to show up for ourselves every single day and be consistent, we have to understand that we have to be patient to see the results there. So consistency and patience are huge. Again, with this podcast, I know I keep going back to it, but it's a huge thing for me this year. It's one of the biggest lessons I've been learning. In the beginning, I was especially putting this pressure on myself to grow, and I wanted to see quick results. I had this urgency and this anxiety and kind of desperation. But with time, I've learned that this really wasn't serving me, because the more that I thought about it, the beauty of growing something and the beauty of striving towards something, again, whatever your goal may be, it's about improving every single day. It's about the journey. So if my podcast took off after just a month, it wouldn't have been nearly as satisfying and fulfilling, because I would have lost all of the satisfaction, growth, and fulfillment that came from putting in the work every single day, and all these amazing lessons that I've learned along this journey. And so coming back to number one here, it's not about the results. It is about the journey. And with any journey that you're on, practicing consistency and patience are crucial in order to be in it for the long game. If we want to be in that journey for the long game, we have to practice consistency and patience. One quote that really helped me, that one of my yoga instructors that I went to a year ago has shared in class, and it always stuck with me. She says, "Nothing good comes easy." And it's so true. I think the harder and longer the pursuit, the more time and effort that it requires, the more worth it it'll be in the end. The more we'll look back on that journey and that effort and say, oh my gosh, look at what I did. Look at all the ways I grew throughout that journey, throughout that process. And it'll be that much more rewarding and fulfilling once we make it through that. And the best things come on the other side of that, even if the best things were just lessons learned along the way and resiliency and becoming a better person through it. So not only will the best things come if you practice being consistent and patient, but those outcomes will feel that much more fulfilling and rewarding because of the effort that was put in. Okay, number 5, life becomes so much better when you just let go of control. For so long, I would try to control everything. Again, I think this is the perfectionist side of me. I would overthink, overplan, overworry, and I would project these things onto the people in my life. Again, not to say I don't still do any of those things, but I used to try to control so much more. I used to be far less open than I am now. I used to be a lot more anxious. I would try to control to such an extreme where it actually was really not serving me. And this year, I've really practiced the art of letting go. And it's been so refreshing and rewarding for a couple reasons. The first being, I'm more open to what's naturally meant to be. Whatever naturally comes in life, whatever experience feels good and naturally comes, I'm a lot more open to, because I'm clinging far less to that idea of how I think things, quote, should be in my mind. And the second point being, I'm less disappointed because I'm not setting such strict expectations for how I think things need to look for me to be happy. And finally, It's created space for me to actually tune into my intuition. Our intuition is so important, guiding us towards the path that we're meant to walk down. But if we try to control so much of life and have such tunnel vision on how we need our lives to look for us to be happy, we're not allowing any space for that intuition to come up. So our thoughts might be telling us one thing and projecting how we think our lives should look. But then deep down, our truth might be something totally different. So if we're only clinging to our thoughts, if we're only focused on the shoulds, if we're trying to control everything in our life, then we're not allowing for what's actually meant to be, or maybe our true path to manifest itself in our lives. So the sooner we let go of trying to force and control, whether that be forcing relationships, forcing certain outcomes, forcing a certain experience to be a certain way, the sooner we let go of that, the sooner we can fall into a path that's actually more aligned with who we are and be open to what's actually meant for us and be far less stressed and anxious and disappointed in life, quite honestly. And finally, number 6, comparison never, ever serves us. Honestly, the only person we really should be comparing to is ourselves. And I know that's said a lot, but I think it's a constant reminder that we all need, because especially nowadays with social media, it's literally impossible not to compare to other people. And I know we're all victims of it. And I think it's contributing to a lot of our unhappiness and unfulfillment. Every single time I find myself comparing to someone else, it never makes me feel better about myself. I always leave feeling worse and less than, and like I'm not doing enough or not worthy, or, oh, I don't look like them. I don't have that relationship. I'm not on that trip, blah, blah, blah. There will always be someone doing something more, making more, doing something cooler, looking different than us, whatever it is. There will always be ways that we can compare to others and feel bad about where we're at in life or who we are or our circumstance. But comparison will always pull us into a place of lack. We could be feeling pretty good about our lives, and then suddenly we look at another person's life and see that they have all these things that we don't, and suddenly we feel like we're not enough. We feel like we don't have enough, like we're not doing enough. It brings us down into that negative frequency of lack, of scarcity. And again, this is a survival instinct. We're not flawed if we compare. We're human beings. We want to feel like we're keeping up with people, like we're a part of the community, like we fit in, and like we're going to survive. It's a part of our DNA in a weird way. We don't want to fall behind. So we have this constant desire and need to feel like we need to keep up. But in terms of our self-worth, how happy and fulfilled we are with our lives and who we are and the path and pursuits that we are on, I've proven to myself time and time again that the more I focus on my own path and my own journey without comparing to others, the happier I am. But the more I focus on other people's paths and what they're doing and compare it to my own, I always feel worse about my own. So the more we stay focused on simply comparing to our past selves and acknowledging how far we've come from where we used to be, the more confident and proud we can feel in ourselves, because everyone is different. Everyone's at a different phase in life and everyone has different goals. And so comparison really will never serve us. Instead, how can we compare to our past selves and acknowledge how far we have come and feel proud of that? How can we practice being our biggest supporter instead of our biggest critic? That's something I always struggle with. So in comparing less, aka spending less time scrolling on social media, that always helps, I can feel more pride and satisfaction for my own life and what I'm doing. And I feel less of a need to scrutinize and focus on all the things I'm missing. And finally, last note on comparison, whatever you're seeing on the surface, there's so much more you're not seeing. There's so much that is portrayed on social media or even just in people's personas and personalities when you're out to dinner with them or whatever. You don't know what they're feeling. You don't know what they're really experiencing. You do not know what happens behind closed doors in their mind. And just know they are struggling just as much as you are if you are struggling. They're experiencing all the same human tendencies you are. So their lives are not perfect. So let go of comparing to anyone except yourself. And that was number 6. Those are the 6 biggest lessons I've learned this year. And there have been so many others, but these are just the 6 that really called to me when preparing for this episode, and ones that I hope you all resonate with. Would love your feedback. Let me know your favorite one. And thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode of Unfulfilled, one of the last of 2024. Really, really excited to see what 2025 has in store. I'm really grateful for you all. If you feel so inclined and you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating wherever you are listening. And again, press follow or subscribe. We'll give you access to episodes every single week. And I'll see you all again soon on your journeys to becoming more fulfilled.